Hey there, this is Anthony Metivier from magneticmemorymethod.com. Got a really interesting question about learning disabilities and using memory techniques, specifically in the context of reading a book and then memorizing the contents of that book. And well, the first thing that I can say is that I don't know much about learning disabilities. When I was at York University, I did teach and work with students and sometimes just run the desk at the Learning Disabilities Lab at York University in Toronto. I don't know if they still have that, but it was a really cool place. One of my biggest memories is of working with one student who just loved baseball, and he would talk all the time about baseball. It's all he could talk about. And I just thought, listening to his stories about how much fun that he has with baseball, does this kid have a learning disability, or does he just really want to play baseball? And what the heck is he doing studying, romantic poetry? That's what he needed to pass, was romantic poetry. I mean, he was in the Learning Disabilities Lab all the time for all of his topics, but I couldn't help but think, why? Why struggle through romantic poetry when you have no interest in it? And so I don't know sometimes if it's a learning disability or it's a situational disability where you are surrendering yourself or being forced into situations where you're learning stuff that you just don't care about. So I had that all throughout my school life and was not dealing with books at all well, just simply because I didn't care about them. There was no reason to care about them. So my point is that we need to be really, really careful about medicalizing ourselves, because we might not have the condition that we're told that we have. And so when it comes to memory techniques, I don't think I have a learning disability, at least not in the classical sense. I think that if I went to school these days, they would definitely have called what the way I behaved in school a learning disability, but they just thought I was a wild child, a child of divorce, and reacting to all these things, which certainly was true. But the thing is that I do have bipolar disorder. It's a lot of junk in the brain in terms of fogginess and cloudiness, and often a lack of clarity and a lot of confusion, depending, the weather can change and all of a sudden not be able to concentrate. Maybe there's some seasonal affective disorder and so forth. These are diagnoses. I've been in the hospital for all this. Let's just say it's not been always the most pleasant road, but memory techniques really have served in some extraordinary ways, because they cut through all of that fog and all of that lack of clarity and so forth, even if it takes a bit of time to find my way back. So I'd say that wherever you are, you could at least give them a try. And the rules, the principles, the guidelines, the methods for creating your own system of memory palaces. Remember, magnetic memory method is a method. It's not offering you a system. You don't carbon copy it and then it works. You learn these universal principles, you put them into action, and it's like riding a bike. You change the handlebars forward or back, and you lower the seat up or down. All of these things are really personalized to you based on these universal principles and through your own exploration and experimentation. So it really doesn't matter what state your mind is in at any particular moment. What matters is that you get started and you do something rather than nothing, because the worst thing that can happen is that you don't take action, that you don't actually try these techniques. And don't think about them too much. Just follow the principles and explore them and see what happens. So I'm doing this all the time. Today is, it was raining this morning. It's particularly tough. But if I think to the words that I was memorizing this morning, it's in Mandarin Chinese, I think and I look and I just, don't want to make this video super long trying to recall them, but I'm thinking in my mind, I remember bei ci, like a cup, and then there was something like no. No. What was it? If I edit this too much, people are going to think that I'm just getting off the camera and looking. Can't edit. Okay, so the first one, I'm not, Bei Fang is north, and then the other one was Junbei, and then you could say Ni Junbei 好了, but I don't think the tones are quite right, because it should be the third and the fourth tone in Junbei, so Junbei, so Ni Junbei Hao Le. I think I'm missing a word there, but the whole thing is that it's or is it Beijun? Well, whatever. The point is that I need to go and rehearse these things and check them out. And it's a really particularly foggy day. But in the rehearsal, I'm going to write these things out from my memory, and then I'll go and look at the original record and see what was going on. Why can't I get that first word? Or the second word, actually, because it's like the word for toast or cheers, and it has something to do with bei, and it's like Jinbei, or I think it's a first tone word. Anyway, for whatever reason, it's not coming. And one of the reasons why it's not coming is because I was also memorizing the tones. So I think it was 2 one tones together, or 2 first tones together. So I had a toad in there because of my system for 11 for numbers. And again, I use the word system. I mean to say the system that comes out of the method that everyone creates for themselves. In mine, it is 11, toad. And that's also the ace of spades for memorizing cards. In any case, it's a very unclear day, but hopefully the weather will become more clear, and then I'll have better recall. But I'll write down everything I memorized anyway, regardless of whether it was correct or not, and then I'll look against the record and I'll go, okay, so that toad, it needs to be something else, so that I can remember this word that goes with the bei. And then I'm not sure about the tones for north, because it's like Beifang, but I have a feeling it was Beifang, like the third and the fourth, because I remember using the same figure which is a horse, a nightmare, a mare, for also Junbei, and so 34. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on, and if you're ever interested in checking these things out, there's a free video course on magneticmemorymethod.com. It wasn't a rainy day like it is today, so that training is much more clear. But the point being, and the reason why I'm doing this in the way that I'm doing it, is because if you have a learning disability, or you have a mental illness, or whatever it is that you have, memory techniques are there for you. They will do wonderful things. Not only do I just feel a lot better when I'm using the techniques, it's an escape from the condition, and it's also a very, very enabling art that actually allows you to recall information. So that when I speak with my Chinese teacher, I might make a mistake. I might say, I might be missing a word, ni junbei hao le ma, are you ready? And she might say, oh no, that's not right. Or the commenters on YouTube might say, oh no, that's not the right pronunciation. It sounds like you're trying to say this, which is wrong. It doesn't matter. What matters is that something happened and I'm close. There's an approximation. So there's something to correct. Anyhow, just a little thought for you. If you are letting something like a learning disability get in the way of taking action, you don't need to. Even if it's frustrating, even if it's hard. The playwright Howard Barker, he said in one of his plays, because it was hard, we were honored. And those of us who take action despite our deficits, we will be honored because we took the harder way and just took action, which is actually ultimately the easy way. Never forget that shortcuts ultimately are harder than actually just sitting down and doing what needs to be done from beginning to end. And so it might seem long, but it's actually almost always, the easier path. So thank you very much for watching. I hope to talk again soon. And if you are interested in memory techniques from a broken mind that fixes itself simply by using them, check out magneticmemorymethod.com, and we will talk soon.